Recording in progress.
Okay, that's everybody.
Okay, Jen, are you recording?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I call this Board of Zoning Appeals meeting June 23rd, 2021 at 7:03. This meeting is being taped for transcription purposes only, and the written minutes and attachments, if any, will serve as the official recording of this meeting. Tonight we're short 3 board members, so I would like to bring up alternate Bill Schaefer to fill in as a voting member tonight. The first hearing.
What about Greg Wolney?
Oh, and Gary Wolney, who's on virtually. Is he on?
Yes, Gary is on.
Gary, can you say hello, please?
Hello. Okay, Gary Wolney will serve virtually as the 4th member tonight. The first hearing, as you know, we are short. So you have the option of going with the hearing tonight with 4 people present, or postponing till July 28th when a full board would be present.
We would like to go forward.
Go forward?
Yeah.
Okay. Any board member who has a monetary interest or conflict, including ex parte communication, should close now. I don't have anything.
No.
The zoning secretary, can you call the roll?
Yes. I'm going to call all members, and here will represent that they are here. There's silence and Bud, Mainzer, Zalesnik,
Here.
who?
Here.
Well, Schaefer,
Here.
and virtually Wolney.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, if the zoning secretary can read the legal notice of the hearing and verify that notices were sent to the appropriate property owners.
Yes. As advertised with the correction in the Medina County Gazette published on June 12th, the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals will hold 2 hybrid, virtual or in-person public hearings on Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 at 7 o'clock p.m. The first hearing to begin at 7 p.m. and the second to follow consecutively at the administrative building located at 1410 Ridge Road, which is on the southwest corner of the intersection of State Routes 3 and 303, or through the Zoom room. The public hearings can be accessed as follows. Go to www.zoom.us, sign in, enter meeting room 871-093-0585, and passcode 278-4181, or dial 312-626-6799 and follow the prompts. Alternatively, go to the homepage of the Hinckley Township website for virtual meeting instructions at www.hinkleytwp.org and CDC protocol to be followed. Subject of the first hearing is as follows. An appeal from decision of Administrative Officer AP0254 was submitted by property owner Linda F. Cercia, aka Linda S. Mills of 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, permanent parcel number 01603B02006, to appeal from the decision of the zoning inspector denying the declaration of agricultural exemption form from an existing barn to be utilized for agricultural purposes at the stated address. Inspection of the property will take place on Saturday, June 19th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Zoning reference Chapter 6, District Regulations, subsection Building Setback Requirements, 6R1, 6A1 of the Hinckley Township Zoning Regulations.
Okay, and can you take a poll for who attended the site visits and what dates?
Yes. Mr. Wolney?
No, I did not.
No inspection, okay. Schaefer?
Yes, this past Saturday on both of them.
Selesnik?
Yes, Saturday, the 19th.
Who?
Today, the 23rd.
And did everybody receive the packets?
Yes.
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 Mr. Wolf? Yes.
Okay, the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals acts within the authority of Section 519 of the Ohio Revised Code and exercises its power as provided under Chapter 7 and 13 of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. All public hearings are open to the public. All persons wishing to testify must do so from the podium, must identify themselves and give their resident address, and must be sworn in. Evidence and testimony must be pertinent to the hearing. It is the chairman's discretion to limit personal comments, personal attacks, opinions, editorializing, and/or repetitious statements or testimony or evidence previously given. Disruptive persons will lose the right to remain at the hearing. Personal attacks will not be resolved. This hearing is upon the application of AP 0254 for an appeal of a zoning inspector's decision. The applicant has submitted to this Board of Appeals and also submitted certain documents in support of his. The applicant has submitted the following, and we have your packet and we've all pretty much read it. Notice of the application was given in the local newspapers, and the application has been available for public view and comment. Has the zoning secretary made a copy of the documents that he or she received related to the application?
Yes.
And
We did receive a letter correspondence from residents Melissa and Don Lakey. Yes. And each of you were emailed as well as given a copy.
right. Oh, should we read it in? Have it,
That's up to you.
yeah.
They're here to,
Well, they're here to testify, so we can take that, to back up the letter. Written communications from persons not present at this evening may include communications that are not made by an affidavit. Because the communications are made by persons under oath, they are not accepted by this board. I also note that written communications may include some writings by affidavit by persons that are not present this evening and therefore cannot be subject to cross-examination. These affidavits, therefore, will not be given much weight in any of the decision in the board of this matter. This board has the power to grant the application's request for an appeal of the zoning inspector's decision. Okay. Would you like to speak on this hearing or whatever?
Yes,
You're the, okay,
I'm counsel.
counsel.
Get up to the podium.
And can you state your name?
Yes, my name is Thomas Jacob Gentilomo. I'm an attorney at Oberholzer and Phillips, Medina, Ohio. I represent Mrs. Linda Mills. We're here today appealing the decision made by the zoning inspector, which rejected our declaration of agricultural use for the metal building on the property of Linda Mills. We believe the evidence supports this declaration. Thus, we believe the decision was an error. And I'm here today Representing Mrs. Linda Mills, she has an opening statement that she would like to read, and then we'd also like to conduct an examination if we could.
Okay, let's swear you in if possible.
Sure.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. And Linda, are you gonna?
Yes.
And we'll swear you're Linda Mills of 1230 Oakwood Drive.
Yes, I am.
You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you shall answer under God?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Linda Sersha Mills, and I own the property at 1230 Oakwood Lane in Hinckley. I am here to appeal to you to grant me permission to leave my metal building where it is erected because the property is agricultural and I do not have the funds to move the building. My property is under CAUV and has been so for decades. I raise timber, I care for my woods, and I follow a 10-year plan that was created by the forester Frank Lupino. I have a tractor with many attachments, an ATV, a log splitter, a chipper, a stump grinder, chainsaws, and I need some place to keep my tree equipment other than in the pole barn, which the groundhogs have been digging up the floor in, and or the basement of my house. So I would like to briefly share my hardship story with you. I purchased this building from Future Buildings Canada and hired a renowned award-winning contractor from Seven Hills, Ohio, to erect it on my property. Unbeknownst to me, this contractor did not bother to get any permits or even to call 811 before he started. I found this out when I received a letter in the mail from Tom Wilson, and that was in May of 2017. The building was erected in 2015. He had driven by and noticed a new building located at the front of my property that had not been approved to be there. He asked that I come to his office and discuss this with him. I did so, and Tom helped me to start the procedure for obtaining a variance. I wanted this taken care of right away, but the time was limited, so I had to hurriedly get a plot map and all the documentation ready for the next zoning board meeting, and that was July 2017. A neighbor and local businessman who was also a contractor volunteered to help me with this and with pleading my case before the zoning board. At that point, my variance was successfully granted. The contractor neighbor also helped me to discuss the situation with the contractor who erected the building and got him to freely admit that he did not attempt to get any permits because it was an unusual building. This esteemed contractor refused to help me financially or otherwise with the building move, so I hired attorney Ray Jones from Medina to litigate this for me in the Medina County Court of Common Pleas. A jury trial was scheduled for last July, but it could not go on because of COVID, and now it has been rescheduled for December of this year. Meanwhile, my neighbor contractor convinced me that he could move the building in one or two pieces by bracing it and moving it with a crane to the approved site. He told me that he was experienced in this and had received a government contract to move several post offices. Since he was so busy with his work, he needed a financial commitment from me to do this, $50,000 in advance. I trustingly sealed the deal by giving him two checks, one for $30,000 and a couple weeks later, one for $20,000, and writing in the notation on the line, driveway, building, drainage. He was to begin as soon as weather permitted, but he let this drag on and on and on and on, and he would not even give me the timeline for the project. He was also refused to return my money. I have started litigation against the neighbor contractor, hiring this gentleman here, Tom, of Oberholzer and Felix, and he is here today with me to plead for permission for me to keep the building where it is currently located.
I'd like to conduct a brief examination of Mrs. Linda Mills, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay. For this examination, I have a couple of exhibits that I'll be referring to. I have copies of these exhibits for each of you today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Chris, I'm going to scan this to your email. If you could forward it to Mr. Wolmy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Okay. Can you say your name for the record?
Linda Sersha Mills,
Okay, and state your address.
1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio.
So do you own the property commonly known as 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio?
Yes, I do. I'm the sole owner.
Just wait till I complete. Okay. How long have you owned this property?
I've owned it since 2014. When Larry Safus died, I inherited it from him.
Who did you inherit the property from? Larry?
Larry Safus.
Are you married?
I am married.
Okay. Who are you married to?
I'm married to James Mills.
Okay. Is James Mills the co-owner of the property?
No.
Okay. So you're the sole owner?
Yes.
Okay. Turning to the evidence in support of our agricultural declaration, I'm going to be going through some documents with you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked Exhibit A. Okay. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is it?
It's an affidavit that I signed.
Okay. Is that your signature on the bottom of page 2?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So you signed the affidavit?
Yes.
Okay. Did you file this affidavit in support of your declaration?
Yes, I
For
did.
agricultural use?
Yes.
Enclosed with the affidavit, you supplied some exhibits. We're going to go through some of those exhibits. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked Exhibit B. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's my forest management plan that was prepared by Frank Lupino.
Okay. According to this document on page 1, what is the name address at the top?
Linda F. Sersha, 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233.
Okay. According to this document on page 1, how many acres are on the property?
There are 30.5 acres.
Okay. According to this document on page 1, how many of these acres are woodland areas?
There are 28 acres of woodland.
According to this document on page 1, what is the state under forage management history? Can you just briefly go through that?
Yes, this parcel has been actively managed under a forest management plan since 1994. Grapevines were cut in 1994. The woodland was sprayed with an insecticide in 1999 to control the gypsy moth outbreak that occurred in Hinckley. Several major culverts were installed in the deep ravines that crossed my property from east to west in order to make it accessible. In 2003, 17,700 board feet of timber were sold and harvested. This woodland has a new owner who wishes to continue the forest management practices.
Okay. According to this document on page 1, could you briefly go through the description of forest?
Saw timber stand, 28 acres. The woodland is dominated by saw timber sized trees up to 26 inches DBH. The dominant species include red oak, white oak, hickory, tulip tree, sugar maple, red maple beech, basswood, and ash. The stand is fully stocked with an average of 7,000 board feet per acre. This is an excellent timber stand that has been well managed to produce high quality saw timber and veneer trees.
According to this document on page 1, what is the timetable for this forest management plan?
It started in 2015 and it ends in 2025. In 2015 to 2020, it says to selective harvest of mature trees. 2015 to 2025, harvest firewood as needed, and in 2025, update the management plan.
So to confirm, this is your forest management plan?
That is,
How many years has the property been under this plan?
it's been under this plan since, this particular plan since 2015.
Do you do a selective harvest?
Yes,
Okay. How many times per year do you do this selective harvest?
we only do it about once every 10 years.
Okay. Do you specifically harvest timber?
Yes,
Okay, what do you do with this timber?
we sell the timber.
Okay. Do you create roadways over ravines?
Yes,
Okay, do you clean up the woods?
yes,
Do you obtain assistance with your forest conservation plan?
yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked Exhibit C. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
This is a letter that I received from Frank Lupino, my forester.
Who is Frank Lupino? He's your forester?
Yes,
Who does Frank Lupino work for?
actually works for himself, but he has worked for the Department of Natural Resources from 1980 to 1989. So he's currently a consulting forester.
Sure. Does he help you with the conservation plan?
Yes, he does.
Can you briefly explain the contents of this letter on page 1?
Yes. He explains that he has marked the trees for me at chest height in blue, and they're mostly 24 inches in diameter or larger. And there were a few that had to be marked because they were defective or were on the decline, and others that had to be marked because they were in the way of harvesting the 24-inch or larger trees. And he's putting this out for bids. So he has started advertising this. We've had people start to come look at the timber. And the next step is after a 3-week period, we will be taking bids. I believe it will be July 13th, and we will award the contract to the highest bidder.
What is the date of the letter?
The letter is dated June 3rd.
Okay. How many times per year do you usually meet with Frank?
I've talked with him several times this year and several times last year.
Sure. And then what is page 2 of Exhibit C?
That is the trees that he has marked for me, the species, the number of trees, the average diameter, chest height, the board feet, and the potential veneer up to 3 trees.
Okay. So did Frank send you this marking exhibit sheet?
Yes, he did.
Okay. According to this document on page 200 totals, what does it state under the total number of trees?
There are 250 that are going to be harvested.
Okay. According to this document on page 2 under totals, can you state the total number of board feet?
129,920 board feet.
For all these trees, do you generally use equipment to accomplish these tasks?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of equipment do you usually use?
Okay, we're going to be hiring somebody to come in. They'll be using probably bucket trucks, crane, whatever they do to fell the tree, pull the things out of the woods, log truck to haul them away. In my barn, we have to clean up after them because they just take the timber. They don't take all the branches and everything. So we'll be using our chipper. We'll be using our stump grinder. We do inspect the woods, and when there are storm damage and things like that, we take care of the woods during the years. It's not like it's every 10 years I do something and the rest of the time I don't. I need this equipment. I do need a place to keep it.
Sure. I'm going to be turning now to exhibits D and E. Okay. And exhibit D, do you recognize what exhibit D is?
That is my compact tractor, my John Deere compact tractor.
Do you recognize what exhibit E is?
Exhibit E is the log splitter.
Okay. And what do you typically use this equipment for? Exhibit D and exhibit E.
Okay, exhibit D, there's an attachment that goes on the front that we're able to pick up logs, and there's also a backhoe that we can dig with. And for the log splitter, we put the logs for firewood.
Prior to the erection of this metal building, where did you store this equipment?
I stored
any equipment that related?
I stored some of it in the basement and some of it in the pole barn, which the groundhogs are taking up the ground. So I needed someplace better to keep my equipment.
Okay. So in 2015, you decided that you needed additional room to store equipment?
Yes.
Your plan?
Yes.
Okay. In 2015, you hired a contractor to build a metal building on your property. All right. Was this metal building built on your property?
Yes.
Okay. Where is the metal building currently?
It's in front of the property.
Okay. And what is the metal building used for currently?
It's used to store my tree carry equipment.
Okay. Is there additional equipment besides these 2 exhibits that you store in your metal building?
Occasionally, there's a trailer in there.
Does your husband own a business, James Mills?
Yes, my husband owns a tree care business in Wadsworth, Ohio.
Okay, so it's located in Wadsworth?
Yes.
And what is the nature of your husband's business?
He does tree removal, tree trimming.
Okay. Does he bring equipment from his business to your property to help facilitate your forest conservation plans?
Yes, he does.
Okay. What kind of equipment does he bring?
We had several dead trees because of the way the building was placed. The roots of the trees were bared and they died. And so he brought his bucket truck and his crane over, and he had hired a ground crew and a crane operator, and they spent most of the day taking those dead trees out. There were about 20 dead trees.
Does he bring the equipment to your property to further the needs of his business?
No,
So he brings it over for your forest conservation plan to help you with it.
that's correct.
Okay. Okay, you've also been granted on your property through the Medina County Auditor, the CAUV program for utilizing your land for agricultural use. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked Exhibit F. Do you recognize what Exhibit F is?
Yes, that's my tax bill for my property.
Okay. And on the first page of Exhibit F, under property class, what does it state?
It states it's agricultural.
Turning to Exhibit F, on page 2 and 3, it is your initial application for the CAUV program. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you filed that with Medina County Auditor. Okay. And so turning to the initial application on page 3 of Exhibit F, but it's going to say 1 of 2 on the bottom. So you're on the page. On number 3, what does it state? Can you
Okay.
read that for me?
Do you have a written woodlands management plan on file with Medina County?
And what does it state? What
It
is
says yes.
Okay. On page 3, continuing on number 5, what does it state?
Was land devoted exclusively to agricultural use in the 3 previous calendar years?
Okay. And what did you mark?
Yes.
Okay. And why did you file this declaration of agricultural use earlier this year?
Why did I file it?
Turning away from this exhibit. Generally, why did you file the declaration?
Because they give me a reduced tax rate so that I can keep the woods so that everybody can enjoy the fresh air that the trees produce and the wildlife is maintained. It's the reason I want to conserve my woods. I want to be able to afford to keep the woods instead of having somebody go in there and build houses and stuff.
And why did you wait over 5 years after the construction of the metal building to file a declaration for agricultural use?
I didn't understand at all that agricultural property was given a more lenient view by the zoning board. I had no idea about that.
Do you realize that the contractor failed to get the permits?
Yes, I do realize that.
And that's so you applied with the Hinckley zoning department for a variance for the metal building?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and was your application successful?
Yes, it was.
And just in general, just as an estimate, how much would it cost to move your metal building to this new location?
I believe it would be about $150,000.
And how would you do this?
It would have to be taken down piece by piece and a new concrete pad poured and put up piece by piece. And I don't even know if all the pieces would transport well. I might have damage and not even be able to do that. I know I would have to buy new insulation. It would be very expensive.
So you'd have to tear down additional trees to accomplish
I
this?
would have to tear down additional trees, and there's some nice oak trees up there that I really don't want to have to disturb.
Okay. How would this affect your property?
This would be really detrimental to my agricultural purposes if I had to move the building.
And then
Lose my extra trees.
And then how would this affect your forest conservation plan that you have? Having to move the building, would it hinder your conservation plan, your efforts?
Yes, it would.
All right, thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Mills. That's all the questions that I have for you. I'd like to admit all these exhibits into the evidence. We'd also like to call 2 additional witnesses, if we could. The first person I would like to call is Eric Gross.
Eric, can you state your name and address?
My name is Eric Gross. My address is 1160 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio.
You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you shall answer under God?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know Mr. and Mrs. Mills?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known them?
We lived at our house for 8 years now.
Are you familiar with the property commonly known as 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233?
Yes.
Is this property close to your residence?
Yes.
How close in proximity? Just an estimate.
Maybe a quarter mile just from the curb.
Okay. How often do you encounter Mr. and Mrs. Mills' property?
Oh, probably daily. We walk our kids up and down the street.
Are you familiar with the metal building on the property?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel this metal building is too close to the road?
No.
Is it an eyesore? You'd be fine with keeping the metal building where it is?
Yes.
You have no problem with that?
No.
Okay, no further questions. I'd also like to call one additional witness, Justin Scheidler.
Okay, Justin, can you state your name and address?
Yes, Justin Scheidler, 1176 Oakwood Lane.
And you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you shall answer under God?
Yes.
Do you know Mr. and Mrs. Mills?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you known them?
Since we moved in April 2016.
Are you familiar with the property family known as 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233?
Yes.
Okay. Is this property close to your residence?
Yes, directly adjacent on the west side of my property.
Okay. Like how many miles estimate? Like
Adjacent, so I mean from our house maybe stone's throw.
Stone's throw.
The yard,
Gotcha.
100 yards.
Gotcha. I'm viewing kind of this property every day. I'm assuming since it's adjacent.
Yeah, it's down the road, so we don't go past our house too often, but we see them regularly and stuff decently often.
Sure. Are you familiar with the metal building in the front of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel this metal building is too close to the road?
No.
So would you have a problem with it staying where it's currently located?
No.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay. Tom,
Well, the only, I think I should swear myself in.
yeah,
Thank you.
your name and address, or?
Tom Wilson, live in Medina Township, and I'm the zoning inspector here at Hinckley.
You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you shall answer under God?
I do.
Okay.
Well, as I listened to the testimony, I just would like to emphasize that it's a pretty large building, and I think it needs to be, should my decision get overturned, I think it should be used strictly for the agricultural use. I listened to the different machinery they had, and this is a 30 by 60 building, and most of the machinery could almost fit in this room. So there's going to be a lot of extra building there, and I think Mrs. Mills should know that if it does get overturned and becomes an agricultural building, it is an agricultural building, not a building that Jimmy could use for his business or personal use. It's an agricultural building. I hope you understand that. The only other thing I'll say is I turned this down based on what I read in the variance application, and there was absolutely no talk of an agricultural use at that time. And I think Tom has done a good job of presenting the agricultural use that he's suggesting. But I'm open to questions if anybody has anything to ask me.
No.
No. Okay.
I got a question for the attorney.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, you presented a very good case for the CAUV program.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the program. I was in it at one time.
Sure.
And most of this, everything you've given is just saying that it's agricultural use, but that the building is the important item right here.
Mm-hmm.
And like Tom said, it's got to be strictly for agricultural use, and it's got to be something that's used daily or weekly or monthly for that property. It can't be something from a business that's stored over there. It can't be a boat. It can't be a trailer that you use to whatever. It can't be a motorcycle. Can't be storage for anything. It's got to be strictly used for agriculture. And that's the part that we have to determine. Mm-hmm. And we also have to know that if we would overturn the decision and say, yes, it can be used for agricultural, it can also be taken away also if we find out that it is not being used for agricultural.
Yes.
So, I mean, you were under oath, you swore, and And that's something that's going to be with you because if we find out however, that it's not being used, it's not only the fact that you would have to apply for normal use, you would have to move the building based on the decisions that were made previously in 2017. So you got a double whammy right here.
Okay.
It's not only the fact that, yeah, we can take the agricultural use away. That means you're going to have to get rid of that building. Move it or get rid of it. I want you to understand this. Okay, that's my say. Now, from what I just said, are we still looking to overturn the decision and we feel that it's going to be used strictly for agricultural use?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have to say right now. Let's check with the audience if no one else has anything.
Yeah, anybody in the audience want to speak?
Comment. My question is the variance that was granted?
Excuse me, Gary, can you please state your name?
Gary Wolney.
Thank you.
505 Laurel Road, Hinckley. The variance that was granted was for what purpose?
The variance was granted to move the building.
To move the building?
Yes, the building was too close to the road.
Okay. So you were granted a variance to move it how many feet?
I think what the variance really was about was the fact that it was still going to be in front of the home.
Right.
That's what it was. It was probably still going to be the 90 feet away from the street. She just needed a front yard variance.
Okay.
Okay. I thought it was short.
There's a pond behind the house, so there's no.
I can't remember, but
It's going to be close.
Yeah, I remember it being just unbuildable behind it. You know,
Right.
the house sat on the very edge and
Right.
you really couldn't put anything behind it.
Correct.
Okay, so the building then needed to be moved also with the variance.
That's correct.
That's what I'm hearing.
Well, the variance was that the building was going to be in front of the house.
Correct.
And an accessory building can't be any closer to the street than the main structure.
Correct.
So because of a ravine and all that, there's no way she was even going to get equal to the house, let alone behind the house.
Okay.
So yes, she was just getting it farther away from the street. But either way, she's probably too close to the right of way where it is. She would have needed two variances. So by moving it, she only needed the one variance.
Okay, so if she is awarded agricultural use, does that eliminate the need for the variance or the movement?
As long as it's agricultural use, yes.
Okay, I understand that. Okay, no further questions.
audience.
Anybody from the audience like to speak on this hearing?
Could Suzanne read my letter? Would you like to read it into record? No. Is that okay?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, this is a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Don Leakey, 1250 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233, written on June 11th, 2021, to the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Attention to myself at 1410 Ridge Road, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233. Dear Hinckley Zoning Board of Appeals, we recently had an extremely upsetting and very costly experience with the location of a silver airplane hangar-like barn next to our vacant 2 acres where our daughter was going to build a home. The neighbor, Jim Mills, has a tree cutting business and his agricultural use barn claim seriously needs to be investigated. Moving the eyesore hangar has been an issue now for 4 years. A zoning board of appeals meeting on July 26, 2017, factor 3 states the following. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment if this variance is granted? Vote was Bud, no. Mainzer, no. Zalesnik, no. Hoop, no. Calabro, no. It is blatantly obvious that these board members did not visit the property. They would have thought, what if I spent $300,000 plus to build on the vacant lot in front of 1250? Would that devalue my house having a MASH airplane hangar built next door? What is wrong with this picture? Close placement devalued the lot by more than 75%. Speaking of pictures, please see the enclosed photos of Linda Sersha Mills' husband's Mills tree vehicles parked outside the barn and house. This is only a small amount of equipment related to the tree business, as the rest is stored off-site in Wadsworth. Next, will the rest of the equipment be migrating to the business at 1230 Oakwood Lane in Hinckley to further the industrial look versus the rural look? Reference, keep Hinckley rural. Please reference the photo and general descriptions below. See multiple Mills tree care vehicles by the metal hangar barn. One photo shows my husband standing stakes up where we had our daughter's prospective home site surveyed. They were literally mowed down along with other less permanent property markers. And a dog pen is very close to our property line, and dog excrement has been thrown over the line. See the zoning inspector email chain from 2019 when we asked Tom Wilson about the variance status. Please adhere to the current law on the zoning books in all facets. There clearly should be no agricultural exemption. We plan to attend the meeting on June 23rd, 2021 at 7 p.m. Sincerely, Don and Melissa Lakey. And there were enclosures, and they should be in your hand.
Right. Can we have those?
We have those, yes.
Okay. I'd just like to comment on the letter. As an alternate, I was out there and everybody did, see the situation. That
in 2021, correct.
Oh, in 2021 and in, what was it? When was it?
2017.
2017. We were all there then too. Take my word for it. Second thing is I think I should make you aware of the Ohio Revised Code, and section 500 is what regulates townships. In that section, I can't quote the page anymore, but it states that if you are granted an agricultural exemption, which Linda is doing and seems like she qualifies for it, she is exempt of all zoning regulations as long as it's agricultural use.
Which means she's R1 for her 2 acres, which is excluded from the agricultural.
I don't believe that is excluded from the agricultural. What it is, from my understanding, is that they subtract that a certain amount for a house. So what that is, it doesn't affect the agricultural use. It makes it taxable. So it's her property. If she wants to put it on the 2 acres, and, in all honesty, I don't see why she couldn't just go to the board, the taxing authority, and just draw a line, reconfigure the 2 acres and say, these are the 2 acres that are exempt for not being agricultural. But where I now have the building, that's going to be agricultural. And I'm not going to sit here, argue with you as to exactly what square footage is agricultural and what isn't.
Okay, then please look at 6.
Wait a minute, hang on. We got to stop right here.
Okay.
If you'd like to talk, you need to come up to the podium, and be sworn in. Can't talk from back there. Come on up,
Okay.
come on up.
There's been previous statements that we will keep an eye out for.
Come on, if you'd like to talk.
Nope, the letter says it,
Okay.
although 6R1.6A1 is a good thing.
So the fact, and I have talked to many prosecutors about agricultural use, and even have one letter that's in a file somewhere that the prosecutor actually capitalized the words ALL and the sentence was that agricultural is exempt from all zoning regulations. So I don't know how much clearer it could be with me having 17 years as a zoning inspector and gone through God knows how many prosecutors, and they all have the same rulings. Every continuing education that I've gone to and agricultural came up. I never heard otherwise. So I have to go by the fact that she's claiming agricultural. I don't see anything in here that would say otherwise. And so she's agricultural. And that's state law. And I know you got the pictures, and there's nothing in there saying that anything she builds and is used for agricultural. And as far as the pictures with her husband's business coming over, well, he's into trees. If he's bringing his equipment over and he's cutting trees, there shouldn't be a problem there. It is agricultural use. And that would be just like a landscaper having a landscaping business, and he brings his crew to his house to mow the grass. That is not now a business use.
Do they stay there for weeks?
Ma'am, if you want to talk, you come up here and you get sworn in. Okay. So that's all I have to say about agricultural.
All I could say on that is if there is vehicles that are sitting there for a long period of time, that's something the zoning inspector needs to look at and find out if the business is being run from there. And if the business is, if they're using the property for business use, that's another story. And if that barn is being used for business use, then that's going to be taken away if we overturn it.
Can I swear that it isn't?
Come up.
Can I swear that it isn't? My husband brought over a bucket truck and a crane to take down the dead trees. He brings over things to grind stumps and to chip brush, but he always takes it back to his property where it's stored at 7515 State Road in Wadsworth. You can go by there and see all of his equipment is there. We do not run his business from my house. He has a house over there that he runs his business from. And I swear to that, so help me God.
Okay, so the pictures show the typical chipper and truck. Now, is that was a one-time use, or does that happen often, or?
When I have something that needs done for my forest management and conservation purposes, and he's able to help me with that, he brings it over and then does the work and then takes it back home.
Okay, that's
back to his business.
Okay, the lady alluded that it was there for weeks at a time. Is that a true statement, or was there that much work that had to be
There
done?
was a lot of work that had to be done.
That was okay.
That was a while back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Linda, I also want to say that I would have made the same determination with the information that Tom had about denying this.
Anything else?
Anybody else have anything to say? All right, I guess we have a motion for this hearing?
Yes. Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to reverse the decision of the Hinckley zoning inspector denying the declaration of agricultural exemption form submitted by property owner Linda F. Sursa, AKA Linda S. Mills, on February 2nd, 2021, for an existing metal building / barn to be utilized for agricultural purposes at 1230 Oakwood Lane, Hinckley, Ohio, permanent parcel number 016-03B-02006.
A second to that?
I second.
And make sure that, read that.
A yes vote reverses the decision and a no vote upholds the decision. Will the clerk call the roll?
Mr. Walning?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Zalesnik?
Yes.
Mr. Hoop?
Yes. Okay, any person adversely affected by a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals may appeal to the Court of Common Pleas of Medina County on the grounds that such decision was unreasonable or unlawful. Anyone adversely affected by the decision has 30 days from the date in which the minutes of the hearing are to file an appeal. I guess that,
Anything else we need to?
No, we could pause or adjourn so that you can sign the decision form.
yeah. All right, I guess we'll adjourn this meeting at 7:55.
Pass that over.
Recording stopped.
We have a decision from the inspector to sign. And then I'll make a copy. Want to indicate the reversal of the decision.
Did I get my point across?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Maybe you want to do it this end.
Right there.
All right.
Yeah, do you want the whole thing or just the letter? You know, I may have to give it to you tomorrow. Is that
Here, I can hear mine, I guess.
oh, it's okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Saved us other questions.
I tried to be thorough.
Yeah.
Well, she got her money's worth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just remember though,
Yeah. I'll explain it.
Really?
oh yeah,
There was a guy.
Nice meeting.
Nice to meet you too.
all coming to the no.
That's not, I mean, how much are you doing? 10 feet by 10 feet.
Put your rules back there.
So you think you'll contact me to fill out a form? You'll contact me.
Yeah, great, absolutely.
Thank you. But I was just going to thank Bill for what he said about making the same decision.
That was for their. Because I'll be honest,
Tom?
That was my first one.
Now you gotta keep your eyes. Now you gotta watch them.
Yeah. Well, a month ago, when this first came in, I went down there. And I said, oh, I found it in 2000. I just happened to be going down the state road and went down. But that boat was still parked in the woods. And it's been there for I don't know how long. I don't think that boat's ever been there. And that was one of the things she told us that she was going to do. She was going to park the boat in there. That's not, so as far as I know, she's not using it for us.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. Trust and verify.
Yeah.
Hopefully I made it very clear of what can happen if they don't.
I appreciate that too, because you don't want to be the only one.
Yeah.
I sure as heck didn't need to be.
Right. Well, that worked out. You had your part, I had my part, so that worked out good. Ready?
Yeah, Chris. Let's get everything back on.
Okay. As soon as we get his attention. Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Recording in progress.
Okay, this is for hearing number 2. Public hearing number 2 for Tire Max of Ohio, Center Road, Hinckley, Ohio. This meeting is being taped for transcription purposes and opening this meeting at 8:02, June 23rd, 2021. This meeting is being taped for transcription purposes only, and the written minutes and attachments, if any, will serve as the official record of this meeting. Any board member who has a monetary interest or conflict, including ex parte communication, should disclose now. Which no.
Mr. Hoop, I have an interest, therefore I'm going to recuse myself. Gary Wolney.
Okay, that now gets us down to 3 board members.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Is Tire Max here? Oh, okay. We can continue, or we can at least open the hearing and start up. Right now, we only have 3 members, we could have 5. If you'd like to continue on, the next one would be July 28th, where we can have a full board convened.
Yeah, because just one of us vote no, you lose.
Well, that's a
But you have a quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Okay. Does it waive any rights of appeal if it's voted no?
No, you can still appeal through the courts.
Okay.
Suzanne, is there any chance that we get them in, say, beginning of the month, or?
I can't answer that.
Only Joe could probably answer that.
Yeah.
You have to state a date certain.
Right.
Next meeting.
Right, it would be our first meeting of the month versus the last one. And that's, what's this, the second Wednesday of July.
Will your board members be back by then?
Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people can get sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Right. You know.
Well, the two of them are on vacation. The one all of a sudden got their schedule changed and had to work tonight. She'd been attending every meeting, but all of a sudden the schedule changed. So we would probably have 4, and we have the alternates. So we should have a full board. And like I said, things do happen. And this time it just happened multiple, where 2 vacations and one got their schedule changed where they had to go to work tonight. And we had one that had to recuse himself. So things just happened tonight.
Oh, I understand it does.
So, I mean, it's up to you, but you are dealing with a short board right now.
Well, I'm more than happy to present our case for the conditional use permit.
Yeah, you can do that, and we can continue it also.
Okay. Well, then why don't we do that?
Okay.
You have to read the...
Yeah. The Hinckley Township, all right, the applicant stated they'd like to start the hearing tonight. The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals acts within the authority of Section 519 of the Ohio Revised Code and exercises its power as provided under Chapter 7 and 13 of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. All public hearings are open to the public. All persons wishing to testify must do so from the podium, must identify themselves and give their resident address, and must be sworn in. Evidence and testimony must be pertinent to the hearing. It is the chairman's discretion to limit personal comments, personal attacks, opinions, editorializing, and or repetitious statements or testimony or evidence previously given. Disruptive persons will lose their right to remain at the hearing. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. This is a hearing upon the application of AP 0255 for a variance from the this is a hearing upon the application of AP 0255 for the conditional zoning certificate.
Yes, right.
If I may first call roll.
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, call roll.
Again, as I did for the first hearing, I'm going to call the members. Silent will mean they're not here. Bud? Mazer? Selesnik?
Here.
Hoop?
Here.
Calabro? Alternate Schaefer? Is
Here.
Up to voting member. And Mr. Boney has recused himself.
We also have to read the...
And before we go any further,
Yeah.
I misspoke. If 2 people vote against you, you lose. So
Got to read the...
You'd like me to read the...
I would like for someone to say something.
All right. So the legal notice correction is advertised in the Medina County Gazette published on June 12th, 2021. Notice of hearing, Hinckley Township. The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals will hold 2 hybrid, virtual or in-person, public hearings on Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. The first hearing to begin at 7:00 p.m. and the second to follow consecutively. The administrative building located at 1410 Ridge Road, which is on the southwest corner of the intersection of State Routes 3 and 303 or through the Zoom room. The public hearings can be accessed as follows. Go to www.zoom.us, sign in, enter meeting room 871-093-0585 and passcode 278-4181, or dial 312-626-6799 and follow the prompts. Alternatively, go to the homepage of the Hinckley Township website for virtual meeting instructions at www.hinkleytwp.org. CDC protocol to be followed. Subject of the second hearing is as follows. An application for conditional use permit AP0255 was submitted by Tyromax of Ohio as potential buyers of property owned by Emo Wolney Properties, LLC of Center Road Property, Hinckley, Ohio, permanent parcel number 01703C02001, 01703C01002, and 01703C01001, requesting to construct a single-story commercial building for a tire, retail, and car repair facility at said property. Inspection of this property will take place on Saturday, June 19, 2021 at approximately 10:30 a.m. Zoning reference, Chapter 6, District Regulations, subsection 6B.3, parentheses B-1, parentheses C.1, schedule of permitted uses of the Hinckley Township zoning regulations. Copy of these applications and other supportive material will be available for public viewing from the date of this notice to the date of the hearing at the zoning department located at the administrative building at 1410 Ridge Road, Monday, 10 o'clock a.m. to 6 o'clock p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, 9 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m., and Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. to noon. Information may also be found on the Hinckley website at www.hinkleytwp.org under News and Events titled Board of Zoning Appeals Public Hearing. All parties and those interested in these hybrid public hearings are asked to attend the hearings virtually or in person. Written comments may be sent to the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals, P.O. Box 344, Hinckley, Ohio 44233. However, to be considered, all persons commenting must be in attendance at the virtual hearing or in person. And then my name is the zoning contact, Hinckley Township 330-278-4181, Board of Zoning Appeals.
Okay, the applicant has submitted application to the Board of Zoning Appeals and documents pertaining to this hearing. The application was properly given to the local newspapers and application has been available for public review and comment. Can you poll the township or board members, ask if they have received the document and done a site inspection?
Yes. Did you do the inspection date and did you receive the packet, Mr. Schaefer?
Yes, on the, I believe Saturday was the 19th, both.
Mr. Lesnick?
Yes, on Saturday.
And Mr. Hoop?
Yes, and I did on Monday.
And that was 6/21?
21, yes.
Thank you.
Have you made any notations of any non-written communication you received on this?
What I received for this meeting tonight was an email from the chairman of our zoning commission, Mr. Mazzullo, and all of you should have a copy. And I believe it was emailed to you earlier from Chairman Flopper.
Yes.
Should we read that into the record? Or? Okay, I guess, yes.
Okay, this email was sent to Ms. Calabro, who forwarded to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Hello, Joe. Just wanted to reach out and provide some input regarding the TireMax plan on your agenda this evening. The Zoning Commission looked through the plans at our last meeting. We found a few elements of concern in the initial application. Originally, there was a detention pond straddling two plots. I believe that was adjusted in a different submission. Or particular interest is the application itself. The applicant describes itself as an automatic repair facility, which is not an authorized use in the zoning district. The original application is posed as an automotive service station, but as described, it is an automotive repair facility, which is not an appropriate use in the zoning district. I hope this provides some clarification on the zoning commission's understanding of this plan for the application. More regards, Matt.
Okay. Would you like to step to the podium? And can you state your name?
My name is Don Leiden. I reside at 4532 Prospect Crossing in Westlake, Ohio, and I am the designated representative for Tire Max of Ohio.
Okay, do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, as you so answer unto God?
I do.
Okay.
Give a brief opening remark, and then I can proceed with any questions you have. Obviously, we're here tonight with an application for a conditional use zoning certificate approval for the proposed Tire Max at the corner of 130th and 303. On the advice of the Township Zoning Inspector, we submitted the conditional use application, and we're hopeful that we gain approval this evening. For the record, we do continue to believe, however, that our use as a Tire Max store is a permitted use as a retail establishment in the zoning district as retail service, as defined in your zoning resolutions. We are moving forward tonight with the request for conditional zoning certificate. However, we would like to preserve our right that and not waiving our position that our Tire Max store is a permitted use. So, on the advice of our legal counsel, I needed to read that to you. We honestly feel that the Tire Max as a operating facility is basically nothing more than a retail service. We perform, the primary use is selling and installing tires on vehicles. We do perform vehicle service relating to tires, i.e. brakes and shock absorbers, and the list of which is very readily available on our website. We do not do major mechanical repairs of any sort. It's basically something that would be involved with a tire rotation, tire change, purchase of new tires, and any service that would be found to be detrimental to a vehicle once tires are removed and service is performed on a car. All the work is performed within the four walls of the facility. No vehicles are left in the parking lot overnight. Any vehicles that cannot be serviced in the day that they're brought in are left inside garages, and the garages are closed obviously in the evening. It's, I guess if you were to look at a Conrad store, it's we'd like to consider ourselves a step above that in terms of our facilities and the service that we do, but it's pretty open and obvious what what a tire facility does.
Got a question.
Sure.
You say there's like no engine tune-ups, no transmission work, anything like that, but you do shocks, rotors, things like that.
Shocks, brakes. Correct.
Right. Now, how much is it just tires? Say, is that 80% tires and 20% where you actually start getting into more mechanical type work?
It's typically the typical customer, and I would say that in 60, I can kind of go through our sales records in our Aurora store, which has now been there for going on 4 years. 60 to 75% of the customers are coming in for the purchase of new tires. And related service thereof, down the road, they come in for a tire rotation, which we provide. The tires are removed, we inspect brakes and shocks. If we find that those are in need of repair, replacement, new brake pads, then we'll recommend the customer that be done, and typically we would do that type of work. Somebody comes to us with a problem that's undiagnosable, a transmission, an engine, we will typically help them diagnose the problem and, refer them to the appropriate operation to perform that work. We're really not that we're not capable, it's just that we're not really, from a mechanical standpoint, whether or not we have somebody on site that's able and physically capable of preparing it to fix a transmission, that's a specialty. Most of our guys are tire, shock, wheel type mechanics. So we don't shun the work, but we typically, I think in the 3-year history of Aurora and the 2-year history of Kent, I think we may have had one application where we repaired a transmission. It was simply nothing more than removing the pan and making an inspection and determining that it was beyond our ability and have the customer take the transmission to an authorized dealer. So to answer your question, though, it's brakes, tires, shocks, and to that extent, batteries, change your battery out, but it is very basic tire care or automotive care.
Okay, I got a question, maybe to Suzanne or to Jeff. I believe someone we were supposed to, maybe Joe was supposed to contact the prosecutor to get an interpretation of the conditional use, because the way I see it, I just don't see how this fits in the way the book is written right now, but we were supposed to get an interpretation. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, we're waiting on a report from, what is it, ODM or?
OHM.
OHM. The township has hired them to help us consult and figure out whether it's a workable thing or not. And we're still waiting, right? Or
do we know when we can expect that report? Or
I don't have a date.
That's that along with the fact that it's a short board, I think to be to your advantage to maybe continue this until the end of July. I mean, the presentation was good, but I still have doubt in my mind after reading the book of whether it really fits. And I feel we need to get an interpretation to be fair to you. I mean, maybe I'm looking at it wrong, and maybe it does fit in. That's why we're waiting for that report.
Well, a conditional use is permitted as an automotive. Obviously, a gas station is a permitted conditional use. We don't sell gas and oil. We do add oil to a vehicle inside a garage. I mean, if I were to read that as a strict interpretation about the only thing that gets us close to an auto service station is adding oil to a car and minor auto repairs. But I think we would fit some portion of that definition as a conditional use.
That's the problem. Some part of it, yes.
Well, not every use conforms. I mean, that list is basically a list of all the things that are permitted within that conditional use. It doesn't mean that you have to do all those things that are permitted. If you just do one of those things, then theoretically a conditional use should be allowed if you meet one of those qualifications.
But like I said, to be fair to the township and to be fair to you, I think we need to get an interpretation to see if it really does fit or not. I mean, we got to look at the township's end and your end. I mean, if it does fit, then that's great. But if it doesn't, then we have to look further into it then. So I'd like to continue this till the end of July.
I have a comment I'd like to make, please. This is Gary Walney. One of the things that when we started down this path, we went to Ray, Mr. Schulte, and Mr. Wilson and asked which type of process we should follow for their guidance. They put us on the path of conditional use, meeting the service station requirement. So that's how we got here. The second thing I'd like to point out, in February of 2019, with Suburban Transportation, we were awarded a conditional use for a service station, a service repair facility for Suburban Transportation. It was 8,000 square feet, and they had a 16,000 square foot corporate headquarters. And that was allowed in the B1 classification. It went through, we received conditional use, and then the project went forward. Okay, unfortunately, we didn't complete the project, but it was awarded by the board. So I understand the question, but there's history with the suburban transportation and the fact that Mr. Wilson and Mr. Schulte took us down the path that we're on right now.
Okay.
All right. I would still like to continue on.
Yeah, so I think that we're talking about apples and oranges there too.
Before it gets,
I guess if we're apples and oranges, and oranges were approved and apples are better, I think we're in the apples category.
Well, it depends if you like apples or oranges.
Well, I think the use that we're proposing is.
With the suburban transportation, they were doing major modifications to their vehicles where Tire Max is not. So they serviced their vehicles and they had approximately 110 to 120 vehicles parked in their parking lot, and they were doing major repairs. We're doing a lot lighter repairs, a lot lighter service, and we have less of a footprint. So for everything I've seen here, it fits. There's history with what the board has done, and it looks like we should go forward with it.
oh no. If, Mr. Wolney, can we swear you in?
Sure.
Your name and address?
Gary Wolney, 2505 Laurel Road.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so you shall answer under God?
I do.
Yes. And you're speaking as a property owner?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was there for the suburban transportation process also. And we brought that before the board, and they had a much more aggressive service nature than we're talking with this application. And that was awarded. And we had a 5-0 vote on that conditional use. So that was 2 years ago. Now we're obviously 2 years down the road, but the discussion regarding does this apply for a conditional use, it meets the service station classification, which is where we were told to pursue. So I mean, if that's how we got here. I mean, for what Don said earlier, we think it's a retail application, but the board or the trustees and the zoning inspector felt we should follow the conditional use application for a service station.
Okay, I'd still like to do the continuance because for that one 2 years ago, they were servicing their own vehicles. It was not to the public.
That's correct.
Here we're talking about a whole different story, again, apples and oranges. And I'd like to get an interpretation.
Did not commit to that in the long run, though. He said that he could, in the future, bring in other service vehicles from other customers. So it wasn't just their vehicles. That's in the minutes of the meeting.
I still want to see the report from ODM or OHM.
I agree.
Yeah, who knows? They might call it retail.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you might be a fine.
Okay.
I will acquiesce to the board, and if you want to table this till the July meeting. I mean, it is, as you know, in the construction business, we have a season here, and it's our hope to get this thing out of the ground and up and running. And we have a season that tire stores tend to, are a seasonal business, and being up and running in late fall or early spring is a good thing for us, and it's about the timetable we need to be on. So just to keep that down the line.
I understand that, but we still have to represent the township.
I understand that, and I appreciate that, and we're willing to continue this also, and look forward to the next meeting.
All right, I make a motion to continue this till July 28th at 7 PM, the regular zoning board meeting.
Second.
It would be public.
Public hearing, public hearing.
Continue the public hearing, yes.
Second.
And the vote,
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Solosnik.
Yes.
Mr. Hoop.
yes. This meeting will be continued on July 28th at 7 PM. Oh, a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
8:29.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Solosnik.
Yes.
And Mr. Hoop.
Yes.
Okay.
A motion to adjourn is 8:29.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Record.